Friday, April 14th, 2017 here on the Patriots Beat Podcast. On this episode, we welcome back in Jack Ross, the Fox Sports Radio intern and our resident NFL expert. We'll be breaking down what a weird offseason this has been and about how the NFL might be making a little bit more of a shift towards Major League Baseball. All that and more on this episode of the Patriots Beat Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Patriots Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Harris Rubenstein. Go find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CLNSfans, and go find us on Twitter at CLNS Radio. You can go find yours truly at CLNS_Sportstein. Hope everyone had a great week so far. Obviously, recording this on a Thursday, heading into the Friday. Please remember to go listen to the Red Sox Beat podcast, also on CLNS Radio. Those guys have been doing a great job, and please go listen to the most recent episode of the Patriots postgame show, even though there are no post games anymore. They decided to throw out a nice podcast out there, a little draft update. Yours truly was on there as well, so be sure to check that out for sure. But without further ado, we are now going to welcome in my roommate, a very good friend of mine, and as well a intern for Fox Sports Radio here in Los Angeles. Jack Ross, welcome back to the Patriots Beat Podcast.
Always happy to be on the Patriots Beat Podcast, Harris. Thanks for having me on the show.
May I also remind the team that this is not only the Fox Sports intern. This is also Evie-nominated Fox Sports intern.
Do they know
Jack
what
Ross.
Evies are?
I don't think so.
Is that relevant?
So, for those who don't know at home, an Evie is something from the school that we go to. We both go to Emerson College.
For about 2 more weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Then we don't go there anymore. And so the Evies are a huge award show that Emerson hosts every year.
The biggest college award show in the country.
It is the biggest college award show in the country. Jack and I were honored to be nominated as both Outstanding Sports Broadcaster, so we are competitors, as well as allies in our attempt to win our second consecutive award for Best Television Show on Campus for our show, The Box Score with Harris Rubenstein.
Yeah, so call up Emerson College and tell them to make us win.
Exactly.
Because we don't want to go and get dressed up nice and sit in the audience only to lose to a show that doesn't deserve it.
Fun fact, Harris, I am nominated 3 times, so I might get a solid 3. I get a sweep, walk away like Taylor Swift.
I'm also nominated 3 times, Harris. We're
That's
nominated
fair.
for the same 3 awards.
That's right, too. So
2 of them were nominated together, so if you win 2 out of 3, there's a pretty good chance I also win 2 out of 3. And then the other one, neither of us can win both because we're on the same category and it's sports reporting.
It is a fight to the death for sure. But anyway, this is not an Evie's podcast.
No, it's not.
There shouldn't be one. is a Patriots and sports podcast. So one of the things that I teased in the intro was how I mentioned that football is becoming much more like baseball. And if you think I'm crazy, you're right, but you're also wrong. I say this because the NFL this offseason has been very weird.
It has been very weird.
This
is like
very weird.
The biggest offseason we've had. It feels like someone's playing Madden.
Yes.
And has kind of turned off CPU roster control.
It doesn't make sense.
And is letting them do whatever they want.
The culture making good free agent signings. The Richard Sherman is on the trade block. Marshawn Lynch is coming back in the NFL. Like, there's been some crazy stuff going on. But the craziest thing to me, there have been more trade rumors this offseason than ever before in NFL history. I swear to God, this is MLB trade deadline kind of crap. We have Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, Brandon Cooks, Malcolm Butler. Those are just 4. Not to mention Kirk Cousins, Tony Romo, Marshawn Lynch coming back into the NFL, who I mentioned before, and a bunch of other trade rumors that seem to circulate every single week. Now, obviously, there are always trade rumors. Welcome to the NFL. But this has been This has been crazy. It's every single week, almost every single day at the start of the offseason was some other crazy trade rumor. Oh, the Browns are going to trade the number 1 overall pick for who knows what, but then they all of a sudden trade for Brock Osweiler. Like, it just, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, this is definitely, and I remember when the offseason started, 6 weeks ago, being so amazed by the sheer amount of action going on. Like, we're used to, obviously, like we saw last year, teams will go out and spend $200 million in the first 3 days of free agency. And it's kind of like the NBA, where all of a sudden all the top players on the market get their big deals, and that stuff goes out of the way, and that's pretty normal. But what gets to me, and what you said, is the trades. I mean, not only have we already seen several trades with big-name players like Brock Osweiler and Brandon Cooks being shipped around, names like you said, Malcolm Butler, Richard Sherman being discussed, Tony Romo, huge all-star, all-pro caliber players discussing being moved. In the NFL, that's just never been a league in which the blockbuster trade happens. I mean, the closest I can remember actually seeing a blockbuster trade happen was when Chris Johnson was still playing for the Titans. Right. And he was rumored to be on the trading block back in 2014.
After he ran for 2K yards.
Exactly, and that was supposed to be a huge trade. It was like, oh my goodness, like they're going to trade away this all-star running back. Like, that just never happened. And that is it in the NFL. Like, for some reason, whatever, that they value having the players on their team more often. They're less likely to work with competitors. We just rarely, if ever, see players, big name players moved, especially for other big name players. We may see them move for draft picks, but yeah, this offseason has definitely felt more video game-esque just with the total amount of action going on.
And like I said before, the Colts are making good free agent signings. The Patriots handed $40 million guaranteed to a corner.
The Browns did something well.
Yeah, this is all very, very strange.
It's bizarro NFL.
And the one thing that keeps getting me about this is just, one of the other things that I wanted to bring this up. So many teams this offseason are just using the Patriots as this weird marketing tool. It's like, watch out, this dude might go to the Patriots. You're going to want to pay him more money. And same thing with Richard Sherman. Watch out, the Patriots might trade for Richard Sherman. There goes his price tag. And all of a sudden he's worth a first-round pick and 3 mid-round picks. Stop using the Patriots. No, it pisses me off.
It's kind of like an open-ended threat, and this is what the guys have been saying, because I listen to a lot of Fox Sports Radio because I have to work during the shifts, and they bring this up. They bring up the fact that the Patriots are always constantly mentioned in conversation and how it's kind of like a useless negotiation tactic. Because when you think of it on a basic level, okay, saying the Patriots is involved, yeah, I'm sorry. The best player, one of the best players might want to go to the best team.
Watch out.
You think that maybe in their head they're not considering to go play for the team that just won the Super Bowl?
If you're a free agent...
can't count them out.
If you're a free agent and you get any sort of offer from the team that just won the Super Bowl, they should instantly be in the top 3 teams that you might
if
go
you
to.
care about winning, you would want to consider that the Patriots as the number one destination.
If you have a competitive bone in your body, you should seriously consider, obviously, going to the best team in the NFL. But the one thing that keeps annoying me is, this Marshawn Lynch crap made me so angry. The whole offseason, there is one team that he's rumored to go to, and that's that's the Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, we get this stupid report that, Marshawn Lynch might want to play for the Patriots. Watch out.
Yeah, he might want to play for the Patriots, but he's not going to play for the
Now
Patriots.
I get Twitter questions saying, is Marshawn Lynch coming to... Marshawn Lynch is not coming to the Patriots. You think the Patriots are going to pay Marshawn Lynch
$1 million?
They paid Rex Burkhead $3 million. You think they're going anywhere near Marshawn Lynch? Come on, people. They basically just paid Rex Burkhead to be their starting running back next season. Please. They're not signing Marshawn Lynch. They're not trading for Richard Sherman. Neither of those things are things that are going to happen this offseason.
If they did, they would be some of the biggest shakeups in recent NFL. Those would be 2 of the biggest moves. Because players hardly ever come out of retirement.
Those would be 2 of the biggest moves of the generation of sports. If Marshawn Lynch ended up on the Patriots, and if Richard Sherman...
If Richard Sherman gets traded, that's the biggest trade in the past 10 years.
Richard Sherman, for my money, is probably the best corner in the NFL. He had a little bit of a down year last year, but if you're just going off of total perception and, who is the best corner in football... you're going to get a lot of answers being Richard Sherman.
Yeah, Richard Sherman is like the go-to default answer for people who can't.
It used to be Revis,
who don't think of Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib as these top
AJ
guys.
Bouye.
Yeah, sure. But when you think about like over the past, we talk about span of 3 to 5 years of work. Who else has beaten Richard Sherman other than Darrelle Revis? I guess is the only other guy. But even over this same 5-year span, Revis had his peak back in the late aughts, and Sherman has found his peak in the mid 2010s. So. Right. Yeah, Richard Sherman would be. It would just be as if we traded away Champ Bailey towards the end of his prime. It's like, after the Broncos had that great run where they had Champ Bailey and Dre Bly, and Champ Bailey, 5 years away from retirement, suddenly is on the block, even though the team is in no position to move him. Yes, the Seahawks defense is getting very old, but they're still a team that has that core of great defensive players.
Seahawks be really good next year.
They could hang on for another 2 years. Earl Thomas comes back healthy from his injury. They still have one of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary in the NFL. And they've got enough pieces on the offensive and defensive side of the ball to be competitive. So the question is, why even consider trading Richard Sherman?
I know. It's because the Seattle Seahawks, despite the fact that they just have an incredible defense, have had a distinct inability to know how to draft offensive linemen. And that was the reason they've been bad for the past 2 years, is because they have no offensive linemen. I say bad for the past 2 years. They made the Super Bowl 3 years ago. But they have no offensive linemen. But this from a Patriots perspective, it's caused a lot of problems, because now all of a sudden this rumor flying around that the Patriots might trade for Richard Sherman probably is pissing off Malcolm Butler even more. And honestly, after the whole Stephon Gilmore thing finally calmed down, it really seemed like, okay, Malcolm Butler has calmed down. He kind of understands how the business has to go. The Patriots literally cannot offer him a big contract now that they've offered him a tender, because they expected him to just sign it and figure out things later, but he didn't sign it, so they couldn't figure anything out because now the draft is here.
Yeah, so sometimes that tendering gets really annoying when suddenly you've got a guy locked up for potentially
they're like, look,
$18 million on the cap.
We'll pay you $4 million, cooperate, and we'll give you a lot of money next offseason.
Yeah.
He didn't cooperate, and now he's not going to get a lot of money next offseason, or at least not for the Patriots. So this put a whole other thing, and it's weird. I actually learned Malcolm Butler and Richard Sherman are actually good buddies. So that would have been fun to have them on the same team.
Malcolm Butler traded for Richard Sherman?
Well, traded for his friends.
Tune in next hour. No,
that would be insane.
Obviously, I mean, hey, does that add to the rumors of maybe the Patriots are trying to pull off some kind of crazy heist, and when draft day comes, we'll see them just ship away
They just have no draft picks to trade.
Whatever they have remaining in the bottom of the barrel draft picks for Richard Sherman.
This is also the challenging thing, and obviously we're taking a little bit of break from our draft shows, even though we're 2 weeks away from the draft. We'll get back on the draft stuff as Monday. It's just the problem that I have with what the Patriots have been doing. It is very difficult to predict who they might pick, because now instead of asking these really big-time experts that we bring on, hey, who's a guy that could take in the first round, I'm asking them to pick out guys that they might have to draft at 72 or at 96 or at 108.
Because those are the picks that matter.
That's what they have. It's annoying.
And as we know, when you do draft projections, when you try to do mock drafts, the accuracy and the predictability gets so much more difficult once you get further down in the draft. Because obviously everybody has an idea of who's going to get taken in the first round. When you get to the third round and past pick 75, it's all up in the air, because you have no idea what teams are going to reach to grab guys you think will go in the fourth round, and what teams are going to let guys slip way past the fourth round. And so whenever I see draft stuff like that, and it sucks that the Patriots are at a draft, so low on draft picks that has to be the area you have to zone in on. But at this point,
very true. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, another topic that I wanted to talk with you, Jack, about how this offseason we've also seen, despite the fact that we keep talking about trade rumors, we've actually seen less trades in the first round of this year's draft. Less trades in the first round. So we'll break that down when we come back. Welcome back into Patriots Beat. So before we get into my our next crazy topic from this offseason, just wanted to mention today being Thursday, obviously recorded for the Friday, the Patriots hosted restricted free agent running backs Mike Gillislee and Damian Williams. Obviously, Mike Gillislee is of the Buffalo Bills. I believe Damian Williams is too.
Yeah.
I think so, something like that. I want to say Damian Williams is from the Bills. Oh, Dolphins. He's the number 3 at the Dolphins. So they brought in 3 to... This is called, hey, LeGarrette Blount, we're looking at other running backs. Please come back to the Patriots so we don't have to pay somebody. So that's kind of what's going on here. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, because again, short podcast, there's just nothing going on right now, which is kind of annoying, but also kind of nice that it's just very, very, it's very quiet. We're slowly just waiting for the draft. People are aligning, setting up mock drafts. We will be doing a mock draft. Mind you, I believe the Monday before the draft is going to be Thursday, April 27th. We'll actually have just left LA at that point.
I know. So the day we have to move out.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be doing a mock draft that Monday. I'll be getting back from Disney, which will be a blast. So anyway, let's break down the other thing I wanted to talk about. So we have talked about a lot of stuff with trades this offseason about how there seems to be way more rumors and decent amount of trades actually happening this offseason. One thing that we have not seen yet this offseason, very, very few, I believe only one NFL first-round draft pick has been moved this offseason. Way, way, way different than last year when both, I believe, the number 1 and number 2 picks were traded. Did the Eagles trade for number 2?
They got Wentz. Was that at number 2?
Yeah, they got Wentz at 2. They trade for that, or did they just have Wentz?
No, they traded for...
They traded for 2. Okay, because I know, obviously, the Rams made the stupid trade to draft Jared Goff, who...
Yeah, they traded with the Browns.
Yeah, they traded with the Browns. So... I hated I hated the Carson Wentz trade. Personally, I thought that it was absolutely ridiculous. So this year, the only first-round pick trade that's been made has been the New England Patriots picking or trading away their first-round pick for Brandon Cooks. And then the only other rumor that the Patriots had this year was... obviously, the trying to get the number 11 pick from the New Orleans Saints. But so far, no first-round picks have changed hands this offseason besides the one to the Patriots. And I find that very, very weird, seeing as this is one of the most talented draft classes that we've seen in a very, very long time. This is a first round that is absolutely stacked. I just don't understand. Why have there been no first-round picks this year? Why haven't the Browns traded number 1? Why haven't the 49ers traded 2? Why haven't a team like Chicago looked to move down? Because they could really use more draft picks.
Well, Harris, I think that these kinds of deals, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them in the next week. And then obviously on draft day. Draft day, we are going to see some people move.
Draft day is going to be chaos.
This is a draft
that
is so top-loaded with guys that are going to go in the first 10 picks that are going to be that could be franchise-defining players that we're going to see shakeups. We're going to see teams like Chicago, San Fran, Cleveland trying to get, if Cleveland can't make up its mind about whether or not it wants Myles Garrett or Mitch Trubisky.
They're idiots, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Myles Garrett is the hands-down slam-dunk pick.
Idiots.
But if they can't make up their mind and they just decide they want to drop back, we'll see them get a king's ransom in return for that first overall pick. So I wouldn't be shocked to see a team like the Jets, who kind of have like a need problem. They're not sure exactly what they want. There won't be a great quarterback available, potentially, if Trubisky
I think Trubisky goes 2. That's just me.
I think he's going to get taken top 5 for sure. I don't think they want to reach for Watson. I could see a team like the Jets moving back in the draft. I could see a team like Carolina moving back in the draft. Just guys that see maybe a team like, I don't know, just thinking for me, the Giants might want to jump up and grab O.J. Howard, or jump up and there's been rumors they might want to grab Trubisky. So if a team might want to move up earlier into the first round from later in the first round, and that's the kind of stuff we generally see happen on draft day after the first couple of picks have been made.
Yeah. Now let me be clear about this again. I personally still do believe that a Jimmy Garoppolo trade has about a 5% chance of happening on draft day. because the only team they're going to trade him to, in my opinion, is San Francisco at 2. That's the only team. And if they go San Francisco at 2, they're going to draft either Jonathan Allen or Solomon Thomas.
Yeah, Solomon Thomas.
Not Raekwon McMillan. Hassan Reddick maybe if they're really feeling like reaching. Or that's probably about it. I can't really imagine who else they would take. Maybe Reuben Foster. That would be insane to put Reuben Foster next to Donta Hightower. I'd freak out.
I've heard rumors the Patriots are going to draft Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yes, let's go.
Tom Brady's spiritual successor.
Oh, it'd be insane. But no, the Patriots are probably not going to make a trade on draft day. But I would not be surprised to see maybe the Bears move back. I would honestly be stunned to see Carolina actually make that pick. I really don't think that's going to happen.
Carolina's a team I definitely have a hankling that they might move back in the draft.
I just cannot see them possibly making a draft pick this year, especially since they have so many holes on that team.
Yeah.
They don't need a first round pick. They need a million other picks.
In a draft like this too, your draft pick in the top 10 when it's so heavy becomes so much more valuable. So just sitting on that, inherently makes it worth more because other teams are now trying to go through their processes and be like, all right, well, we're planning to have the 15th pick, so we're planning to get X through Y players. But now once the draft day comes closer, they're like, well, we would really love to move up to 8 so we can guarantee that we get this one player. And that's where Carolina steps in and goes, well, we have the 8th pick. And what are you going to give up? 3 first rounders?
They should also trade it because they should trade it simply so they don't take Leonard Fournette because they did this already. They tried this once where they had D'Angelo Williams and they drafted Jonathan Stewart. And they realized that having 2 running backs is really, really cool. But you want to know what it doesn't do? It doesn't win you playoff games. They never won a playoff game with those 2.
Running backs can't block for themselves.
It doesn't happen. So they should trade it away just so they don't accidentally take Leonard Fournette.
It's teams like Carolina that have competitive foundations in them, but are missing pieces and are just, a couple of steps away from being a team on the threshold of competition again. And so, obviously, those are the teams that probably should move back in the draft to get more draft picks for the following year and potentially an impact veteran. This way, while they may not be able to compete 100% this season, they can stock up, draft an extra guy this year, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round, and then next year come back and get a lot of high-impact rookies, and then they've got a competitive future again for the next couple of years. Because Luke Kuechly's got 7 years left. Cam Newton's got at least 7 years left.
Do you know what I can't wait for, though? I can't wait for because this happens every year. I can't wait for the weed pick.
What guy's going to get busted?
Someone is going to get busted for marijuana like 3 days before the draft.
Another gas mask.
Some like Tunsil or Shane Ray or Randy Gregory. Like some stupid person is going to get caught with weed like a week before the draft. And something's going to blow up, and that person's going to drop. I can't wait for it to happen, because it happens every single year. There are so many of these kids who just make, the dumbest mistake at the worst possible time.
Yeah, it's the dumbest mistake, and it's somebody in their party house is Snapchatting.
Now, I don't blame Laramie Tunsil.
Barstool sees it, and suddenly it's everywhere, and now they're busted.
I don't blame Tunsil because he got boned by a former financial manager, which... Why does a 22-year-old coming out of college have a financial advisor?
Because they're expecting to go to the NFL.
Well, no, but they are. But he's been working with his financial advisor for 6 years, and then
planning in advance. But kids, that's smart financial advice. Don't listen to Harris.
He then admitted that Ole Miss gave him money, so clearly we know what financials he was advising. So we're clearly going to get some sort of weed action this year. It just depends on who it's going to be. I'm not going to predict who the weed man is going to be this offseason.
There's always one.
There's always one weed man.
Somebody tanks their own draft stock and
they're just idiots. They're just the stupidest of people. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Here's my question. This is something we were just mulling around in the studio the other day. Obviously, we don't see this happen very much across sports at all, but we were talking about it because guys in the NBA, there have been, rumors flowing that some players might not want to play for certain teams because they're bad. Is there a possibility we see something like that in the NFL this year? Are there any players that might not want to go to the Browns or to, could Trubisky potentially say that he doesn't want to go play for San Francisco or for Cleveland because they're terrible and have no potential to turn things around? Or do you think that this will just be another one of those straight draft years where guys, because this is one of the years I feel like Cleveland and San Francisco are 2 of the worst teams the NFL has had in a long time. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
They're teams that I think are very bad and are at least 3 years away from being even remotely competitive. So if there's ever a time for a guy who thinks he deserves a legitimate chance to play for a team that is going to be in contention for a little bit longer or wants to be traded to a team.
Are you asking if there are going to be any whiners like Eli Manning this year?
Are there going to be any whiners like Eli Manning this year? Who, by the way, has 2 Super Bowl rings.
Eli Manning is the biggest.
And the Chargers have none.
I believe that there won't be, simply because the difference between these bad teams and the bad teams of yore, the teams that are bad right now are not bad because of their head coaches. Hugh Jackson, I still believe, is a phenomenal head coach and is one of the best player coaches in the NFL. Talk to any player that's ever played for him. They love playing for him. So I don't believe it's Hugh Jackson. And also with San Francisco, you have Kyle Shanahan. So if you're a young player and you're like, all right, I can either go play for Hugh Jackson, Kyle Shanahan, and go play for John Fox in Chicago. Who's it for? Jacksonville and go Coughlin. Or then 5, you can go play with Tennessee and Mariota. So I don't know if we'll have that problem this year. I do think we're going to have a problem with Myles Garrett. I think that Myles Garrett is not going to stay with the Browns. Myles Garrett is going to get drafted by the Browns and go play with the Cowboys after his rookie deal is up. He has shown there's a very important thing when it comes to these big guys. It was like what happened with Mario Williams. When Mario Williams got drafted by the Texans, if you remember about that, he was so excited to play for the Texans. Yeah. He was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited to get drafted number 1.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be the number 1 overall draft.
All Myles Garrett has talked about is that he does not care about the Browns. He cares about getting picked number 1 overall. That's all that matters to him, which tells me that he cares about one thing and one thing only: getting paid. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Money,
fine.
It's recognition.
There is no way that man signs a second contract with the Cleveland Browns.
Why would you?
That is why the Cleveland Browns are currently questioning whether or not they are going to bring him onto the team. That is the sole reason.
And that's one of the things that makes me question whether or not a guy like him, does he just go,
remember,
I refuse to be drafted by the Browns at number 1. Mm-hmm. If you want me to play for you, you have to trade for me.
Because not only is Mitch Trubisky from Cleveland, Mitch Trubisky has said publicly that he wants to play for the Browns and wants to be the savior and believes that he can be the savior. How rare is it that think about it? How great would this be if you're the Cleveland? You have the Cavaliers led by Akron native LeBron James. You have the Browns led by Cleveland native Mitch Trubisky, and then you have the Indians led by the most exciting player in baseball right now, Francisco Lindor.
Cleveland's got a good thing going if they can get something. If they can get the Browns to a team that can win 3 games a year.
Now there's a rumor that the 49ers are looking to trade their pick, another stupid rumor, and that the Browns are interested in trading for it.
Browns have 1 and 2? What? My mind will explode.
See, this is the NFL this year.
That is Madden.
This is the NFL.
Like in Madden, I will trade for 3 years in advance to get like 1 through 5 in 1 year's draft.
Like, just this stuff doesn't happen. I can't tell if this is good or bad. I think it's bad. I don't like trades in the NFL because I personally believe that the way that people or the way that the NFL evaluates players is incredibly poor. I think the
bust potential in the NFL is so high.
I believe that only 30% of NFL front offices accurately know how to evaluate players because there are so many teams that just have no clue what the heck they're doing. So I truly believe that the less trades there are, the better. Because if there are more trades that don't involve the Patriots, more and more teams are going to mess up because they have no idea what they're doing. And that to me is a big problem. So I don't know. We'll see.
And it's going to be an interesting draft for sure because there are so many storylines surrounding. There are so many really good players. Like the first round is filled with talent, and so are the later rounds. Like this is honestly a draft that people are wishing that last year's draft picks were this year's draft picks because of how much deeper this year's draft is, especially areas like defensive back and defensive lineman. So if you're a team in need of defensive help, this is the year you need to move up now, get your guy, and lock it down for the next couple of seasons. Because this opportunity might not come around again, which is why I think on draft day, we're going to see some Kevin Costner moves made.
Oh, no.
Remember that fantastic film where the Browns get their guy at number 1, and then they get another guy at number 11, and then they get another guy later in the draft, and they screw over the Seahawks.
That was such a bad movie.
It's going to be a good year, though. It's going to be a good year. This is going to be an interesting draft. It's going to be fun.
Oh, draft day was so bad.
I'm saying no less than 4 first-round draft picks get moved.
Wow. Quite the prediction, Mr.
It's such a deep draft. I know. I don't feel like that's too outlandish to suspect.
Last question.
2 in the top 10, 2 in the bottom 15.
Last question before we go, because we probably won't be able to get you on before the draft. We'll see. Do you believe the Patriots will trade back into the first round?
That's a case-by-case basis. It depends on how the first 10 picks go.
Okay.
Because I don't think they'll move into the top 10.
No.
I think if they're going to move up, they generally move up around between 18 to 32.
The one time they ever moved up farther than that was when they picked Gerard Mayo at 13.
Exactly.
And that was in 2008.
For me, it will have to be, it's like well, obviously you have to evaluate the Patriots' needs, and it's like
need a linebacker.
Exactly. So if the linebacker they want happens to slip to 15, 16, 17, then the wheels in the Patriots front office start going, all right, well, what can we give up? Because again, what do they have left? Do they trade away the rest of their picks, take 3 picks in this year?
A bunch of thirds, a fourth, a fifth,
exactly.
2 sixths, and 2
7s. Because they're going to have to
sevenths.
package for a first-round draft pick after 18. And again, the value increases.
They don't have a
because
second-round
the draft
pick.
is deep this year. They'll have to give up multiple third rounds and maybe even a second or first round from the following year.
I really think they were hoping and praying that someone signs Malcolm Butler.
So they get
I
a defensive
really
pick.
do think they were hoping that they'd get the first round pick from that. But that's just my interpretation of it.
Yeah, it's like the Giants from Hankins get a compensatory pick, which is nice, which I'm happy about.
Exactly.
But so I don't know. I think that I'd put the odds about 40 to 60 they do move in.
Okay.
And
So 50-50.
No, 40, 60. Those are 2 different numbers.
All right, that's a between 40 and 60.
No.
That's
It's
that's 50.
40, 60. 40
Okay.
being they move up, 60 being they stay back. Just because they don't have a ton of stuff to trade anymore.
enough.
But I definitely think if the right guy came along, the Patriots have no problems switching with a team, that has later draft pick, somebody like Tampa Bay.
If Hassan Reddick falls out of the top 13, they trade up to 15 and grab him. That's my prediction. But with that being said, that's going to be it for us. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll close out the show, and we'll give you guys our schedule for the next 2 weeks before the draft. But Jack Ross, thank you so much for joining us, as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always
here.
an honor to have you
Great
on.
time talking NFL with you.
Absolutely. That'll be it. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. All right, team, that's going to do it for this week's Patriot Beat podcast. Please remember to give us a rating and review on iTunes and Stitcher. Please keep sending me Patriots questions. A couple shout-outs again this week just for people who've been asking me a couple questions. Thank you to @Lou_Sears for your questions this week. And as well, thank you to my DM buddy, Jakob Balonis, our great Patriots fan from Poland. Keep the fight going on in Europe, man. Hope the Pats can give you enough news this offseason to satisfy your thirst. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks again to High209 and Joshua Morse for the music. Thanks to Nick, Larry, and Mike. As always, we will be back with you guys on Tuesday, hopefully with a great guest to help us break down the NFL draft, which will be on April 27th. Please remember to tune in for the Patriots Beat mock draft coming out the Tuesday before the draft. Very excited for you guys to hear that one. We'll have all 32 picks, including a surprise pick or the Patriots trade into the first round. All that and more on the next couple episodes of Patriots Beat. Please remember to follow me at CLNS_Sportstein. I'm very easy to find, very fun to talk to, and I'm always down for a little Patriots chat on Twitter. That's going to do it for me, guys. Enjoy your weekend.